Hello, everyone. We have one other young Indian with us today, Voice of the Young segment. Right now, we have with us Vishal Parija. Let's listen to him. Over to you, Vishal.
Hello, sir. Myself, Vishal Parija. Currently, I am pursuing Masters in Economics from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, New Delhi. And prior to that, I had pursued Bachelor's in Economics honors from B.J.B Autonomous College, Bhubaneswar. And during my bachelor's duration, I participated in various programs, co-curricular activities, and got several awards and prizes also. But the thing is, initially I was not that much interested towards economics. The interest for economics gradually began to grow during my second year when I learned some mathematical inclusion into the various concepts of micro, macro. So that enhanced my curiosity to learn more about economics. So after that, I gave various entrance exams, and I got uh, at, I got master's program at Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, which is a prestigious institute. So today I am going to present my PowerPoint presentation on the topic that is analyzing the impact of Russia-Ukraine war on the world economy and how the central banks and the RBI manage this situation during this period, that is in 2022. So I'm going to share my screen with you. So are you able to see, sir?
Yes.
So this is the front page. So let us come down to the second page. So as we all know that the post-pandemic era, that is COVID, it just ended, but the Russia-Ukraine war just started on February 24th. Along with that, the China being the largest exporter of goods was under complete COVID lockdown. So this event significantly impacted the world economy. So what happened that Russia, being the largest crude oil supplier, it is was engaged in a war with the largest wheat supplier of Europe, that is called Ukraine. And Ukraine is sometimes also known as the bread basket of Europe as well. And China, as I already mentioned, that it is the largest producer of exported goods. So it was under complete lockdown due to its zero COVID policy decision. So eventually, and it is and these events cause massive supply chain disruptions in the world economy. And as we all know that when there is supply disruption, there will be a price rise. So definitely, due to supply disruption of crude oil, the price of Russian crude rose, and due to supply disruptions of all the exported goods, the price of all goods everywhere it rose, and especially wheat, which is a raw material for various food materials in various countries, it also rose because Ukraine supply from Ukraine was highly disrupted. So this created this inflationary situation globally. And in Europe, what happened that the average inflation, as you can see here, that it rose to 11.5% in October 2022. And similarly, in US also, the price inflation hit a new 40-year high of 7.9%. And interestingly, there is always a positive relationship between the the inflation and employment. So what happens that when inflation increases, the business sentiments began to grow as the businessmen started to or expect to have more profit, so they hire more laborers and produce more and make more products. So this had impacted employment positively, no doubt. But what happened that with rise in employment, everybody will get income. So with more income, everybody will start demanding every goods, and this raises the cost of living, which raises the cost of living in US. So, in order to curb this inflation, normally a central bank has the ability to hike the repo rate in order to tame down the inflation. So, US Fed rate also did the same. It hiked repo rate 8 times in a year 2022. So this was actually first time after 2008 financial crisis. Means reacting to US Fed rate hike, simultaneously European Central Bank also raised the repo rate three times in 4 months. So now I am going to show the inflationary trend that was there in 2022 and that was in European Union. So around January 2022, the inflation was quite good, means not that much high, but during that February 2022, we are all aware that the Russia-Ukraine war crisis happened. So as you can see that there is a drastic rise of inflation from 6.2 to 11.5 here in October 2022. Now I am going to show which countries were affected the most. So inflationary situation in Europe it is, and Estonia you can see that the inflation it 19.1%, and the lowest was of France. Now, these are all the countries, and this is the trend of inflation in US. So it was 7.9 during January, but after April or Russia-Ukraine war, you can see that it grew to 9.1%. And this is the inflationary trend in India. So there was a huge headline in Economic Times. I used to saw that the inflation hit a record high and it hit 7.79% during April 2022. So before that, the inflation was still outside the inflationary band of RBI, that is around 6%, but still it was okay. Now in the current scenario, the inflation is under 6%, but RBI is trying to reduce around 4%. It was in the recent news. But during that time, April 2022, the inflation was 7.79%. So after that, what happened that RBI reacted very fastly and in a very so what happened that after RBI raised repo rate, so the inflation drastically reduced from 7.04, then automatically reduced. Then after some time, it also began to rise. After that, it also rise, but ultimately it fell to 5.7. And this is the fluctuations in US Fed rate so these are from January, so I can zoom it out. So you can see that from January 31 to from February 1, when there is no Russia-Ukraine war, there is slight increase in base points or repo rate from 4.50 to 4.75. But after that, it grew very significantly. As you can see that there is a stepwise function you can see. And during January 2022, there is nothing that much like a hike in interest rate. But during March and April, May, you can see there is a sudden rise. And after that, there is another cumulative rise and like so on. So it happened. So ultimately, it rose. So what happened? So now we will discuss about how the high Fed rate impacted the Indian economy. So high repo rate in US definitely had affected in multiple ways. So first of all, the impact on Indian rupee. So US Fed rate has a negative impact. So with rise in Fed rate, what happened that the foreign portfolio investors who invest in different countries in different financial institutions, so they will feel that uh, that that retracting money from the financial market and putting them into their own US financial market will be profitable. So that's why they pull out all their money. So that's why what happened, that demand for dollar began to grow. So US dollar index, you can see that appreciated around 17%, reflecting strengthening of US dollar in the starting of 2022. So as it is obvious that when demand for dollar will rise, there will be definitely depreciation of all the rest of the currencies in the world. So simultaneously in our rupee also, depreciated from 74.3 to 81.4 on September 30, and it was also a big headline during that time, and it fell to all-time low about 82.02. So weaker rupee and in this case, what happens that India actually imports more than it exports, plus rising crude oil prices, plus depreciation of Indian currency. So weaker rupee implies that we have to pay more dollar in order to purchase that same commodity from the foreign markets.
We have to pay
So
more rupees. The dollar price.
no. Yes, sir, dollars. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Same thing. We have to pay more rupees in order to get $1. So
Yeah.
that means ultimately the everything in the economy, the price level of everything will rise because the raw material which we are getting from outside, they are becoming expensive
Yes.
due to depreciation of Indian currency.
Correct. I
So
agree.
since India, yes, sir. So India imports actually more than it actually exports. So depreciation of Indian currency caused import cost for crude oil, commodities, and other imports costly, as I already mentioned.
Hmm.
So since raw material constitute major proportion of Indian imports, so required for manufacturing of final products. So a rise in import cost, what happens that there is a chain.
Hmm.
When the price of raw material will rise, automatically the price of intermediate goods will rise, and it have an impact on the final product as well. So this led to a rise in price inflation, and this is the US dollar index that shows that how the dollar was strengthening. So I had in this here it is mentioned that the US dollar strengthened around 17%. So it is reflecting the same that how US dollar strength was increasing in the financial market,
Mm-hmm.
and this, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Nothing. No
Yes,
comment.
yes, sir. Sir, this is the fluctuations in the value of Indian rupee. So here I mentioned that earlier it was 74.3, but it drastically fell to 81.4, and then to 82.02. So here we can see the same thing. During here we can see that here the when we go up, it means it is depreciation. When you go down, it means it is appreciation. So here around this November or that we have 82 point something we can see here. After that, due to RBI's reaction or RBI's the counteractive measures, we are able to reduce that the rate of depreciation in the forex market. So ultimately, the Indian current account deficit comes into picture. So Indian export expenditure are relatively inelastic. So like here, I want to cite an example. Like we earlier purchased crude oil from the Gulf countries. Even if there is a rise in price, we will reduce our expenditure, but up to a smaller extent, not up to a larger extent. Because if we reduce up to a larger extent, that will come into the that will be elastic demand. So, but our import expenditure are always inelastic if we consider the crude oil, because there is no more substitute. So what happened that price rose, but quantity demanded declined, but very proportionate changes, percentage change is very less. So that's why we have to pay more dollar in order to purchase the same amount or even lesser amount of crude oil. That is a huge irony thing. So, so this led to depreciation of Indian rupee. As I mentioned, that widens current account deficit as we have to pay more dollars. So this led to large capital outflow of foreign exchange. So here is the trend you can see. January 2022, not that much difference. After that, there is a no means here it was current account deficit was in negative terms, but after that it was positive. But gradually, when you see here, this is January 2021, sorry. So it was negative, but during July 2021, it was positive. But when we consider the Russia-Ukraine war during this phase, January to July 2022, we can see there is a huge current account deficit, and the maximum gone to $36.4 billion. That was in the third quarter of 2022. So this was the scenario at that time, and this was the reserves. So huge current account deficit means larger. Uh, it all arise due to larger capital outflow of forex reserve. So this eventually led us to decline in the forex reserves at RBI. So RBI mostly keep the forex reserve in terms of US dollar to maintain stability in the Indian economy, so that if there will be any external shock, RBI will be able to handle the demand and supply fluctuations of dollars. So in this case, what happened due to high level of import expenditure, I had already mentioned, larger capital outflow of forex leading to decline in forex reserves. So here is a drastic fall. So initially, India's forex reserve was $633.6 billion at 2022, which drastically reduced to this $545.6 billion. So here you can see the declining trend, and here is 545 something around here, and here 633 is something around here. So this is impact on foreign portfolio investment. So high Fed rate in this thing I had already mentioned, that high Fed rate in US made it attractive for the foreign portfolio investors to invest in their own economy, to invest in fixed instrument information like bonds and securities in their home country. Plus, depreciating Indian rupee also that time affected the FPI's investment decision. So like now I want to cite an example here. Means it is not an example, it happened actually. So at the onset of 2022, if an FPI would sell $1, he would have got rupees 74 per dollar in order to purchase Indian equity. But due to depreciation, what happened, and the value of Indian dollar, as I had already mentioned, that it fell to rupees 81. So now the if the FPI sell off Indian equity and convert that US dollar uh, at rupees 74, means now since the Indian rupee has fell to rupees 81, but if he or she, if she pays rupees 74, you will get only 0.91 per dollar. Earlier, if we were paying rupees 74, we are getting $1. But now, if we were paying rupees 74, we are getting only $0.91. So this led to loss of 9% for the FPI. So 0.9. So earlier we are getting one, now we are getting 0.91 per dollar. So there is definitely, if we compute, we will get there is a loss of 9% to the foreign portfolio investors. So here high interest rate plus depreciation led foreign portfolio investors to sell Indian equities and invest in US. So due to it, our stock market also crashed heavily, because foreign portfolio investors, they mostly invest in those instruments which are more profitable, and that is in India. Mostly these are the financial market which are mostly volatile like stock market. So they mostly invest there. But all these events caused the stock market to crash heavily. Now we see the how the stock market was during that time. So during January 2022, the stock market was around 33. Yes. So there is, you can see it is net equity and it is net debt. So net equity was around minus 33, and this we gradually began to decline, as you can see, till June 2022. But after that, it rose significantly. There is certain discrepancies here also, but this all happened due to RBI's counteractive measures, which we will see in the next slide. But what happened, that the FPI, the foreign portfolio investors, they pulled out 2.32 lakh crore from the Indian equities. Like I had mentioned, how it happened, and all that happened between January 2022 to June 2022. So during this phase, in between this to this phase, the FPIs, if we calculate all this blue, the value of this blue rectangle, we will get this total sum of 2.3 lakh crore that FPI had pulled out from the Indian economy. So, additionally, they have from 92,000 in the second half of 2022. So these are the addition they had made after the RBI's monetary policy decisions. So during the first half, Indian stock indices like the Nifty 50, Sensex, they fell between 10.4 to 10.5%. So now we come to the impact of RBI monetary policy. So the rise in US Fed rate had compelled RBI to raise its repo rate because, as I had already mentioned, that as US was rising its Fed rate, the demand for dollars was growing worldwide. So everywhere, in order to protect their economy, the central banks at their level, they also tried their best to increase the uh, repo rate as well. So RBI also did the same as in order to defend the Indian rupee. So strengthening dollar, so in the previous slide we saw that strengthening dollar led to high import cost, caused inflation level to rise, and depreciation of Indian currency, depletion of forex reserves. So, in order to reduce the inflation level and capital outflow, RBI increased the repo rate from April 2022. So, it had raised 5 times by 225 base points. From earlier, it was around 4%, but gradually it rose to 6.25%. So now, what is the impact of rise in repo rate? It is clearly mentioned here. So increase in repo rate indirectly increase the cost of borrowing. So as repo rate rises, as we all know that the installment rises, and the borrowers they will be discouraged to take or procure loans for various investment purposes, due to which they will uh, they will lose some levers, and they will reduce the income level as well. So these are all the negative impact. So for individual, the cost of home loans, car loans, EMIs had gone up. Along with that, the cost of investment are also increased. So high investment cost led to low level of capital expenditure, hence created less employment opportunities, which further led to lower income and lower demand. So lower demand means people purchasing power are less, so they will demand less. So when they will demand less, automatically price of every commodity starts to come down. And this is a graphical analysis where I showed how the interest rate and India consumer price index were related during that time. So this blue line you can see what is the step-like increase in the repo rate that RBI did during 2022, and this black line is nothing but the trend line of their interest rate. So we should we will here consider only this black line and this dotted line. So we can clearly see that when the consumer price index was rising, RBI was simultaneously raising the interest rate as well. But there is not that much impact on the price inflation till October or December. After that, you can see there is a slight decline, but after that it declined up to a certain level, but not that much.
Okay, Vishal, let's see this. I think it's perhaps we could say that we don't see it, but what we should really think about is what would have happened if the RBI had not raised the repo rate. The
True, sir.
inflation rate would have been much higher.
True, sir.
And
True,
so
sir.
it has brought it down, but it is still there, right? So we
Yes.
need to compare it to the hypothetical that if we can't just say that, look, it had no effect, we could say
Yes,
that
sir.
it could have been, it would have, the inflation would have been much higher. And it's
Yes,
still
sir.
high, but not as high as it would have been if the
Yes, sir.
RBI had not raised the repo rate. So I
True,
think
sir.
that clarification is important, because what you are seeing here is that repo rate is going up, but inflation is also going up. Well, the thing is, would have gone up much more. And
Yes,
that
sir. True, sir.
hypothetical is very important to keep in mind. All right, sorry to interrupt, but let's go on.
No, sir, actually you are right. In the recent Economic Times article I saw that the RBI was actually performing very well among all the central banks, and that due to which our RBI governor got the central banks award. And and it's all the effort of RBI, that due to which our inflation is now not that much compared to that level. So yes, one thing is that behind every policy decision there are many intellectuals who formulate this decision. And the thing is, the effect of any decision or any monetary policy committee decision comes after a very long period of time. So here you can see that RBI was raising interest rate, but the consumer inflation was not declining, but it declined after a very long time. But in the current scenario, if we take into account, it is very much balanced, I think. So every policy has its long run impact. No impact could be seen in the short run. So that's
Yeah, but one
uh,
impact which you did show was that we used up about 16% of our dollars.
yes,
All the time in the past, the India's total dollar amount had been rising.
yes,
Since
sir, true.
since 1991, every year we have been accumulating dollars. And I
Yes,
think it is the first time that we saw not a small decline, but a very significant decline. So the
true.
RBI absorbed the external shock by using up our dollar savings. Let's put it in simple terms. We have dollar savings with the RBI, and we used up 16% of that. And if they had
Yes,
not used up that dollar amount, the
yes.
rupee would have gone down even more.
Very, very down. Yes,
Right.
sir. True, sir.
So, it's a balance that we have saved the dollars. RBI since 1991 had been accumulating. For the first time, it was actually forced to use some of those dollars, right? And not some, but as I do the calculation, about 16% or so of the total dollar savings. And it has not yet come back to the old level, I think. I don't know if you have the latest data, but I think it has not come
Sir,
back.
it came. Sir, recently, I saw in an article that the RBI is regained the dollar forex reserves to the means more than its original. But yesterday, I was reading that it further declined very slightly, but not that much.
Okay, fine. Let's
But
go
it
ahead.
regained.
Yeah, let's go
Yes, sir.
ahead with your analysis.
Okay, sir. Uh, this is some analysis which I did using a software called Vasa Stats. So I was just finding out the correlationship between the inflation rate and the rate of interest. So here you can, as I already mentioned, that this black line is the interest rate trend line, and this is the fluctuations in inflation rate. So initially, inflation was rising, and after that, inflation came down during January 1, 2023. Here, April 1, 2022, during Russia-Ukraine war, the inflation was on its peak in India. After that, it declined, as you can see. So I was curious to find out. Let us find out what will be the correlationship between the inflation and interest rate during that time. So I took x as repo rate, and y as the consumer price index value or inflation rate. So these are all the repo rate. Earlier it was 4 which was constant, and after that RBI raised it. And likewise inflation, you can also see that there is a data. Then I computed it and I got a correlation of minus 0.193. So it is, which is obvious when central bank will raise its repo rate, automatically everything will like inflation will come down. So there will definitely a negative correlation in the both the things, inflation and interest rate. And this is the the trend of forex reserve. So this is the black line reflecting the interest rate rise, and the forex reserve was declining till October or November. Then after that, it grew, as I already mentioned in the previous slide. So this is the trend that is reflecting how the RBI acted and how it impacted our forex reserves positively. And here it is Indian rupee value. You can clearly see here that this is the rising trend value, and here April 1 the depreciation was going on. Here is the value of Indian rupee per dollar. Here is the interest rate. So here the interest rate was rising, and there was also depreciation going on, you can see. But after the several repo rate hike, you can see there is some decline, and there is further rise, and there is further decline. So there is not that much effect on the depreciation, means the value of Indian rupee, but in the other aspect, it affected very significantly and positively. It had impacted. And this is the Sensex stock market, and you can see that these are the interest rate and the Sensex index. So with the rise in interest rate, first the Sensex index fell, and after that it grew significantly. After means the foreign portfolio investors started to investing in our economy after RBI's decision. So now these are all the positive impact. Now I want to show you what were the negative impact during that time. So for that, I want to go to another paper. 1 minute. Uh, yes. Yes, sir. These are the negative consequences of RBI monetary hike. Earlier in the previous slide, I mentioned that they were all positive impact, but everything in the world everything we have has its own pros and cons. So this repo rate hike also had also had several demerits as well. So first is impact on the business confidence. So when repo rate was stagnant, so and slightly rising, the you can see that the business confidence index was gradually declining, and which is obvious that when repo rate is rising, the cost of borrowing will increase, and automatically they will shut down or reduce their production. So or they can fire their laborers. So due to which everything will reduce, or this will happen. So you can see this blue trend line reflecting downward business index. And after that, there is a significant turn when RBI was raising interest rate, and the business confidence index was also rising simultaneously. Here, I think that the businessmen must have anticipated that RBI will not increase its repo rate in the future. That's why they should invest more. So that's why they invested, and due to which there is a positive relation in this case. But after that, again RBI again rose this repo rate after. So due to which they really began to feel that no, the RBI is really very much means aggressive. So it will means increase the interest rate in the future. So they will reduce it. So they reduce they cut off business production and everything. So so the business confidence index fell down. And this is the impact on industrial production. So initially, when repo rate was not that much high, the industrial production was very much high at its peak. But gradually, with successive or cumulative rise in repo rate, uh, the uh, the production gradually began to decline. You can see. So the same trend happened in manufacturing sector as well, just with a slight difference. You can see here the peak was on April, during that same time, during that April or June time. Here also same thing happened, but after that it declined gradually with repo rate hike. And this is the impact of unemployment. So initially unemployment was very high. So means earlier yes, unemployment gradually began to decline after this repo rate. But in this phase you can see that with rise in interest rate, the unemployment rose. So maybe in this phase what had happened that the businessmen have negative business sentiment, so they must have fired their laborers or employees, due to its unemployment was its at its own peak. So after that it declined, means due to maybe some reason, due to stagnant repo rate or anything, they might have revived themselves. So due to it, they must have hired other laborers. So due to his unemployment again fell down. There may be additional contribution of the government as well. Uh, Government have several employment guarantee scheme as well. So during that time, maybe government has increased employment as well, aside from besides private sector. So this is the impact on economic growth. So earlier, when the interest rate was not, there is no, when there was no hike in interest rate, so there is, you can say that you can see that there is economic growth. But with successive rise in repo rate, you can see that the economic growth decline. So GDP forecast on October to December in 2022, during that time it declined to 4.4%, and January 2023 it was 4.2, lower to 4.2 from 4.6%, and in April to June 2023 it was lower to 7.1. Sorry, I think it is a wrong value. It must have risen, I think. Okay. So this is impact on the housing sector. So the hike in repo rate
Vishal,
also had.
we are not seeing that slide at all. We are seeing still the slide of the stock market.
Uh, are you not able to see this?
No, what your screen is showing is the stock market index.
Good. Okay, sir. So I have to close it, right? I think
Yeah, I think you should close the wrong screen and open the correct screen now.
the screen sharing has stopped. It has done.
Wait,
But I am again sharing you.
yeah, share it so that we can see the correct slide.
Are you able to see, sir?
Yes, we are able to see.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Uh,
Sir, here I want to mention the negative consequences of hike in repo rate.
yeah.
So impact on business confidence. So
Hmm.
here what happened that the hike in repo rate had a negative impact afterwards, and here also you can see that there is a negative impact.
Yeah.
So so during this phase, what happened that there was news that RBI will raise the repo rate, and this created a shock in the business world. So that's why everyone started disinvesting or reducing their investment in the first phase. But after that, when RBI
Hmm.
maintained its repo rate and didn't disclose its monetary policy decision, so they might have thought that RBI will not increase its repo rate in the future. So that's why they began to even produce more. But after a certain level, RBI again began to raise its interest rate, and they may have started believing that RBI has now become very much aggressive, so we should reduce the this production. So this had happened during that time, and this is the impact on industrial production. So you can see during this April to June, I guess we have this highest production during that in 2022. After successive rise in cumulative rise in interest rate, we see that the industrial production is declining, which is normally which is inevitable, because with hike in interest rate we cannot stop, means the everything will become costly. The investment will become the sorry, procuring loan will become costly. So if procuring loan become costly, the firm will hire less labor, and automatically they will fire up, and due to less labor there will be less production. So this signifies this. Similarly, there was an impact on manufacturing sector as well. The trend is quite similar, but there is a slight difference in between them. So here there is a rise in interest rate, and the manufacturing sector was growing up to here. Then after that, it declined significantly, as you can see. So this is during the second quarter, significantly fell in the third quarter of 2022. So this is the impact on unemployment. So when the interest rate was stagnant, the unemployment was quite high. But when the interest rate was rising, the unemployment reduced. But after that, what happened? If we see this phase, when the interest rate was rising, unemployment was also rising. And this will happen because, as I already mentioned, that with more cost of investment, the businessmen, they will produce more, so they don't need much more labor, so they will definitely fire their labor. So due to unemployment rise, after that, due to subsequent maybe due to what happened, I don't know, but the unemployment fell, maybe due to some maybe the businessmen have thought that RBI would not increase the interest rate further, so they have a chance to hire more laborers. Apart from that, the government of India may have also increased the jobs in the government sector, due to which the unemployment might have fell. So after that, it also rose. You can see here, and this is the GDP impact on economic growth. So this is the repo rate rise, and initially with rise in repo rate, you can see that GDP was growing, and after a certain time frame, the GDP fell drastically, and means very much drastically it fell, and this all happened all due to rise in repo rate. And the businessmen have their negative business sentiment, so they produce less. So when there will be less production, there will be less, the national income will be less, and when national income will be less, GDP will be less, and automatically everything will trickle down automatically. So this happened, and this is the impact on the housing sector.
So, Vishal,
So
I'm
the
sorry, we are running out of time. So, I just
okay,
want
sir.
to tell you have about 5 minutes because we are.
Sir, actually, this is the
Okay,
last.
wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, let's do
After
it.
that, there is
Yeah,
nothing.
let's do it.
So this is the impact on housing sector. So hike in repo rate made all the house loan expensive. So here
Yeah.
you can see that during May 2022, if we procure a amount of 10 lakh, we had to pay interest rate of 6.50% with maturity of 10 years. And here we have monthly EMI is around 11,354, and in December the amount of loan is about 10 lakhs. Sorry, if we procure an amount of 10 lakhs, we have to pay interest of 8.65%, and with same maturity of 10 years, and the monthly EMI grew to 12,478. So this also reflects shows that how there was a negative impact of repo rate on housing sector was there. So this might have caused the demand to less demand. This might have affected demand in the housing sector, due to which um, maybe the prices of houses may have fallen during that time. So thank you, sir. This much I have.
Okay, what about your recommendation and conclusion? Let's get to it.
Sir, recommendation is the central bank should broadly allow the exchange rate to move in a direction driven by the market. If the RBI want to counter depreciation, it should continue to improve the macroeconomic fundamentals and take additional measures to increase the capital inflow into the country. And so, to the foreign central bank should increase its forex reserve to counter such financial volatility, so that such things will not happen in the future. And RBI can also sell its the forex reserve to control the falling rupee during that time. So, so these are all the recommendation that is for the central bank during that time. Currently, I don't think it has any relevance, I think. But some of the points they have their relevance as well in the current days, current scenario as well. So the and another recommendation during that time was boosting capital inflows in NRI accounts, and the RBI should encourage capital flows in NRI deposits. When NRI start to deposit money in India, they would be selling dollars to convert into rupee. So this will cause rise in demand for Indian rupee, and this will prevent the depreciation of dollars. So, and these are all the recommendation, and this is the conclusion which I have just summarized all the things I already explained. I just concluded in a small paragraph. That's it, sir.
Well, thank you, Vishal. It is a very, very thorough and detailed analysis, very
Thank you, sir.
comprehensive, and
Thank you.
certainly at your status as a first year MA student, it's very good. Okay, we
Thank you, sir.
don't have enough time to comment on it, but I
Yes, sir.
must say that it's very impressive. You have done a great job of collecting so much information and
Thank you, sir.
putting the theory, US, Europe, India, all in one piece. Congratulations is what I can say
Thank
to
you, sir.
you. Keep it
Thank
up.
you, sir.
Let's get,
Yes.
it is very worthwhile effort, and just
Thank you.
keep going. That's what I would say to it. So I think we can, you have anything else you want to add? Some advice you want to give to your juniors?
Sir, so nothing that much to give, means say, but I just want to say to my juniors to participate in such seminars, and such discussion will enhance your intellectual ability. And I actually very much encourage my juniors in my college days. I used to encourage my juniors to participate in debate seminars and all the discussion
Mm,
programs, so
mm,
that they will be able to understand what is happening in the
mhm.
contemporary world. So
Okay.
this will be my suggestion to all my juniors, and be active in all the research work. If you are curious, do some research work, like anything, any events happen in the current, if any current events happens, just research what has happened, and try to have a broad analysis of that, and possible try to present it in the form of PowerPoint. If there will be any program in your college or university, we will be able to explain that. So this will improve your means mental ability and intellectual. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, I can add there that in the future, this channel is also available to make presentations. You don't have to just do it in the, there's no more a channel for me to talk. It's a channel now in the future for young people to talk among themselves. And if they want to include me, fine, but I want to empower the youth to use this channel for things that cut across colleges, that cut across universities, to come together with each other and use this channel so that it becomes less me and more you. Okay. So I want to empower the youth and I want to give them the chance. So the channel is here. Please use it. So thank you so much, Vishal. Let's end this now. And we'll catch
this
up
is
with you
such a
at some
nice
other.
initiative by you, sir. Very much thank you.
Okay, let's end this here and we just talk a few
sir.
minutes. So bye to everybody. We'll be back. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon.